Finally, day one comes to an end. An exhaustive day and a day to remember for a number of players whose lives have changed, as they tend to on auction day when the Indian Premier League comes to town just a month or so prior to the tournament. This is TVS Euro Group presents ESPN Cricinfo Auction Day, powered by Kisma Gaming, and I've got Wasim Jaffer and Gaurav Sundaraman with me. We'll excuse Dan Vittori. It's 12 minutes past 5 in Auckland. We're going to see him tomorrow as well for the entire day. We've seen a lot of business today, guys. We were, of course, with you right through the first half of the IPL. We spent about 5-6 hours talking auctions. And at the end of the day, we're going to quickly look at the teams and see what's left for each side to do going into day two. But before that, let me ask Wasim and Gaurav what the first takeaway is. What are the few things that stood out today from what was, of course, highly anticipated auction? Wasim, what's the first thing that comes to mind if you have to sum up the thing that surprised you most today?
I think probably David Warner going so cheap, Quinton de Kock going so cheap. Hasaranga obviously broke the bank. I was surprised at that. And then Yajwinder Chahal not getting the kind of money I was expecting the other way around. So that was a little bit of surprise. Avesh Khan, I expected that amount of money, but he obviously got a lot more than what I expected. Shah Rukh Khan, I expected him to go at a decent price. So those are the really good surprises that were in store for us.
GS, from all the things that you tend to predict, and we know auctions tend to surprise us on a number of points, what has been, say, the biggest calculation that didn't quite work or didn't quite go according to plan for you from today's auction?
Yeah, I think most of the points Wasim has covered, but an Ashwin plus Chahal is less than 13 crores. Warner plus de Kock is also less than 13 crores. This was simply mind-boggling, considering how the auction panned out a bit later, where people were scrambling for shares, Gopals and Murugan Ashwins and Nicholas Puran. All very good players, but maybe certain teams could have done better initially. Maybe there was a lot of course correction that has happened as the day has gone by. So I think just certain price points and the fluctuations in prices, Rahul Tivatia for such a high price. Not really sure if what to make of it. I just tweeted some time back. I think the quality, the depth of Indian cricket maybe is still not as good as what people think it is. And I think I'm not sure if IPL is still ready for a 10-team tournament yet. Because if you're going behind the same players, and a lot of Indian players are just getting big money, not because of their sheer performances, but just hoping that these guys deliver, right? So that's how a lot of these picks have happened. Riyan Parag had an awful last season, went for a lot of money back to the same team. Deepak Huda just came into the Indian team, suddenly made a lot of money. So you're kind of going back to the same set of players. Priyam Garg, I just looked at SRH middle order. It's Priyam Garg, Abhishek Sharma, Abdul Samad. This was exactly what was the middle order in 2020. So if you're looking at a 10-team IPL where you want to kind of improve the talent, then you need to find more different kind of players and not just break the bank on these players. So I feel for guys like Bumrah, he put a tweet saying that just with an emoji saying what kind of money is going for all these fast bowlers. Mohammad Shami gets 5 crores or 6 crores. Prasidh Krishna gets 10. Shardul Thakur gets a lot of money. It's just something doesn't feel right to me personally. And that's what the price fluctuations have surprised me a big time.
There is absolutely no doubt, while I can see Bumrah's dismay at the tweet, there's no doubt that if Bumrah finds himself into the auction, all sorts of records would be broken, but he didn't. And the final call would always have remained with the player. We know that. So players could have rejected any offer made by a franchise, as KL Rahul did with Punjab, as Rashid Khan did with Sunrisers. So fair to say that if Bumrah was looking to get into the auction, no one could have really stopped him. So take what you want of the Bumrah tweet, but I can take it's been a day of eyebrow raising, which tends to happen with the auctions. Let's quickly scan through the teams. There's still a day left, so you will see a lot of spots filled up. But you think with a large part of the money spent on day one, how each team shapes up? Who's going to sleep well tonight? Who's going to think they've got very little to do on day two? So let's just scan through the teams very quickly for you, and we'll then get Wasim and Gaurav's thoughts on perhaps the one or two teams that still have a lot to do. Chennai have done what Chennai were expected to do. They went hard to get players that were part of that successful 2021 championship winning side. Those players include the likes of Dwayne Bravo, Robin Uthappa, Ambati Raidu. They've really broken the bank on Deepak Chahar, but it made absolute sense to. KM Asif was also part of that squad, played a couple of games. Tushar Deshpande, the Mumbai Seamer, has also been picked up. So that's what Chennai have done. They've got the players that Dhoni knows and was relying on last year. Delhi, David Warner's picked up at what's been a bargain. That's what everyone agrees with. Mitchell Marsh is there too. Shardul Thakur, they spent big money on. Mustafizur Rahman was picked up soon after. Kuldeep Yadav for a pretty decent 2 crore. And some Indian uncapped players on that right-hand side. Ashwin Hebar, Sarfaraz Khan, Kamlesh Nagarkoti and KS Bharat have come in reasonably cheap for them. So that's what Delhi have managed to do. Headlined by Warner coming in at a bargain and Shardul Thakur costing them quite a bit. Mumbai, it looked like a day where one plan was set out. Let's get Ishan Kishan back no matter the cost. And he will leave Saturday as the most expensive player of the auction. And you think now this is going to be the most expensive player of this 2022 auction. 15.25 crore. Baby AB, Devil Brevis picked up for 3 crore. Basil Thampi and Murugan Ashwin for not much after. But Mumbai leave day one with the least amount of players secured. The 4 they retained and only 4 added at the end of the day. Moving on to Rajasthan Royals, they've been busy. They started with a couple of pickups in the marquee set, R. Ashwin and Trent Bolt, and they were busy with paying some decent money for Shimron Hetmaya and Devdutt Padikkal. Bit of a surprise, but clearly they are keeping a contingency. If Josh Butler is not available, maybe he won't even open. Prasidh Krishna, 10 crores for him. Yuzvendra Chahal, a bargain buy, and he will be moving from Bangalore to Rajasthan for the next IPL. Riyan Parag, that was a bit of an interesting one, given Parag seemed to really struggle for Rajasthan and hasn't quite done anything of note for the same franchise as the Assam all-rounder. KC Karyappa picked up as well towards the end of the day. Bangalore, well, they've been busy. One Hindu Hasaranga and Harshal Patel, 10.75 crore each. Dinesh Karthik returns to RCB, where he's surely going to take the gloves. They look like they found a partner for Virat Kohli at the top of the order in the form of Faf du Plessis, who's 3 times the price he was at Chennai these past few years. We also have Josh Hazelwood there. So they have been chasing some Chennai players, as Gaurav pointed out earlier. Hazelwood, Faf du Plessis, all finding their way to Bangalore. Shahbaz Ahmed, Anuj Rawat, Akash Deep, they picked up towards the end of the auction. Punjab, always eyes on Punjab, came in with the maximum balance purse of 72 crore, spent a good chunk of it on Shikhar Dhawan, who you think will surely partner Mayank Agarwal now. But they also have Johnny Bairstow as an option that they've picked up, who could easily take the gloves too. Kagiso Rabada, big money paid for him in the marquee set. Rahul Chahar, Harpreet Brar as spin options that they've picked up. They've broken the bank for Shah Rukh Khan, but we expected that player that they did have and did not feature as much last IPL. So raise the eyebrows you'd like to. Prabh Simran Singh's familiar well to Punjab Kings. So too is Ishan Portal. And Jitesh Sharma also picked up towards the end of the day. Hyderabad, well, they've been busy. 68 crores, second maximum balance purse after Punjab going into this game. They've spent a lot of money on Washington Sundar, Nicholas Puram. They've retained Natarajan, Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Priyam Garg, along with Abhishek Sharma, who they spent a lot of money for. Familiar faces there too. Suchit will return to the Sunrisers. Karthik Tyagi, decent money spent for him. And they also managed to pick up Shreyas Gopal. Rahul Tripathi could very well be an addition that'll help in that middle order. But GS points out it will otherwise look pretty familiar to last year. Gujarat Titans had Hardik Pandya, Rashid Khan and Shubman Gill going into today. They've added the likes of Shami, Lockie Ferguson for big money. Also picked up Rahul Tewatia for big money. So some curious calls made by the new franchise. Noor Ahmed, the youngest player in the auction at 17, has entered into the IPL. And Sai Kishore as well from Tamil Nadu ended up getting a decent bid. And Lucknow, who have been busy when they went all round in the first half of the IPL today. Quinton de Kock picked up for very good money, we think. Bargain deal for someone like de Kock. Manish Pandey finds himself there. So too does Jason Holder, Deepak Huda, Krunal Pandya, and Mark Wood. They paid a lot of money for Mark Wood. That'll be an interesting one. Otherwise, largely hailed as a team that's done some pretty good business. Avesh Khan also into double digits in crores, 10 crores for him. And Ankit Rajput as another Indian seam option just at the end of the day. Right. Now, as we run through those teams, if I had to ask you to pick one team that would be the happiest at the end of the day, GS, would you say that team's Lucknow? Would you say that team's someone else?
In my view, it's Rajasthan.
Hmm.
I think Lucknow started well, but when the more I see, their bowling does not seem to be really on top. They do have an attack, but not something which is intimidating. So, whereas Rajasthan have those kind of nice, unique, different kind of skill sets in their bowling lineup. They have a finger spinner, swing bowler. They have a hit the deck bowler in Prasidh Krishna, Chahal, and you have a decent top batting order as well with Butler, Hetmeyer, Sanju, and Padikkal. So far happy with Rajasthan, and they haven't like really gone crazy in terms of spending and they bid. Yeah, I think they've got exactly what they wanted, and they've got some in a steal. So I'm happy with Rajasthan. If you ask
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, the Rian Parag one's a bit of a question, but yeah, fair enough. Rajasthan will be happy. Wasim, who would you say has done the best business from the teams that stack up at the end of
No,
day
no,
one?
I would say I think Lucknow and Delhi probably are the one they've got their playing 11 kind of ready. I mean, they've got another day, but looks like they've probably got the most out of the IPL. Look like Chennai, were on the retention, day where they retained all the players. MI, just like an IPL, started very slowly, so they'll have to do a lot more tomorrow. They only bought Deval Brevis. I mean, I've got my doubts whether he's into the playing 11 kind of player. Basil Thampi again, there are question marks. So they've got players, but I doubt that they are into the playing 11. So
Hmm.
I feel even Punjab I think did well for the players that they have got. So they'll be very happy. So
Okay.
I feel Lucknow, Delhi, and Punjab would be the happiest one, and probably Chennai because they got all the players same as last year. So they'll be happy that they've retained all the players.
All right, fair enough. That before we wind up, then and still a lot more to happen tomorrow. And if you see the list of players to come tomorrow, you can make your own opinions on whether that'll really impact teams. But we do know the Mumbai Indians have a lot of spaces to fill. So let me ask both GS and Wasim, what's the plan for Mumbai? Why is it that they didn't look to add more? They did bail out of a number of options. Avish Khan, we thought, could be someone they could pick up because they had the maximum purse at that period in the auction. But GS, they really went with a plan to get Ishan Kishan. They got him, but how can they make amends now? How do they fill up the rest of the squad?
So if you look at the squad, I think you have a top three with Rohit, Ishan, and Surya. Assume Ishan could become their opener, and they have Jasprit Bumrah, and they picked up a leg spinner in Murugan Ashwin. So, and you have a Pollard. So you need maybe a couple of overseas bowlers. I think there are a lot of bowlers coming through. They usually play with two overseas bowlers, so you can expect those two overseas bowlers to come into the 11 directly, or maybe someone like a Marco Jansen, or they go back to their tried and tested Nathan Coulter-Nile, or maybe identify some other new fast bowler. Remember, guys like Alzari Joseph came in and performed for Mumbai also. So I think that's not the problem for them. Maybe the batting looks a bit slightly on the thinner side. So a player like, say, for example, Liam Livingston, who can come there and do a very good all-round role in the middle. Imagine a lineup after Ishan Kishan and Surya, you have Liam and Pollard. That seems pretty deadly lineup. So we have to see whether they have the money to buy these players. Definitely, they are better placed in terms of from a budget point of view. I think only Punjab have more money than an MI. So we need to wait till tomorrow to make a big judgment. And I think, like you rightly said, Ishan Kishan, if you put all your eggs in one basket, this is what is the alternate plan, right? They would have budgeted for 14 crores for Ishan Kishan, which is what has ended up happening because they didn't seem to think too much while bidding for Ishan. So I think they kind of were very sure what his price range would be. So they would have planned certain overseas picks, and that's how you kind of compensate. You still have Unadkat and Sakaria coming through, which is again two very important purchases from a Indian context, left arm pace bowlers. So yeah, they could. Maybe we can all say that going into day two, they would flex their muzzle a little bit.